All right, assume the position and look for spontaneous signals, because I'm going to be telling you a story, a really fun story, a beautiful and wonderful story about the first person who I ever saw kill HIV, first person whose life I ever saved from that disease. And you're probably going to be getting some spontaneous signals, so stay open to them. You got to stay open to guidance. Got to stay open to it. He was weeks away from death, his doctor told him. He'd had his second pneumonia. And he didn't die. So stay alert. You know, the other day, I've got my hand, see how I got my hand here on my knee? I put it there purposely to show this to you. Okay, the other day, I was sitting like this. I was watching this movie, right? And it was an earlier version of this movie, which we didn't use. But I was sitting like this, and I noticed all of a sudden, my finger moved, and then it would move again, and you know, and every so often it'd move. I was just doing that to show you what it looked like. And I realized, without thinking about it, I had just put my hand down like this, and I was getting spontaneous signals. I bet I get thousands of them every day that I don't notice. How about you? What do you think? You think you get a lot of them too? If you stumbled on this, you know, like you did a search on HIV in YouTube and you found this movie, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So, it is this website. Look at the screen. That's the website. See it? And what you would do is you would go there and click on HIV. And that is where you'll find the rest of the segments of this movie. I make segmented movies about you killing HIV and ending the epidemic and saving Africa, because YouTube only allows 10-minute movies. So that's what I can do. Well, here also is where you will find lesson 1. Just in case you found this through YouTube and you have no idea what lesson 1 is. And lesson 1 is what you were supposed to have done before you started watching this movie. That's what lesson 1 is. And if you did lesson 1, you are now in the middle of training yourself to follow a thread of signals to and beyond a negative medical test, to pull yourself along on a thread of good feelings, feedbacks of good feelings, telling you that you're ridding your physical body of HIV. You know, because that's what a lot of people come to this to do, is kill their own HIV and perhaps stay to end the epidemic. Brumph. And so it is by responding to these signals, by interpreting what the signals mean. So you can't just get the signals. You have to understand them and interpret them. You have to realize what they mean. And that's how you know what further signals to seek to go along the thread to end the infection. To get to a negative medical test on HIV and get beyond that negative medical test. And with HIV, the beyond is critical, because negative medical tests mean absolutely nothing with HIV. After you get your negative medical test, your doctor will tell you, do not assume you do not have this virus anymore, and if you know anything at all about HIV, you know this. So that I don't have to probably go into, because everybody who knows even the tiniest bit about HIV knows that. Oh, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. So yeah, look for spontaneous signals throughout this movie. And you know what spontaneous signals are because you're in the middle of this training, see. So you know what signals are, and you've seen people getting them and presumably started getting them yourself. And if you haven't started getting the signals yourself that you're killing the HIV and or the herpes and any tendency to carcinomas or Kaposi sarcomas or anything, all the things that you will find these things and you will take them out. And if you haven't been able, and you've done lesson 1 and you somehow that you haven't started that yet, better do lesson 1 again, because it will tell you, you know, how to jumpstart yourself and all other kinds of good stuff in there. By the way, see, lesson 1 is the kind of thing that you do it, you wait 3 weeks, and after you've gotten way into the study and you've done lesson 2 and lesson 3, which I'm not totally sure I'm going to make a lesson 3 yet, but let's say there is, and all the other things that you're given to do, the lesson on kill viruses, the lesson on controlling your DNA, all these things are essential for somebody who's killing HIV. This book, remember that from lesson 1, simply removing these pathologies from these bodies, and I'm just opening it to show you, you know, those 2 lists are in there. Just the basic things, you know, that you make sure that there are no pathologies, and then you go on to do the other stuff. One thing I will say is that if you've done your homework, if you've done lesson 1 and you've removed the pathologies from the bodies and so on, you probably started taking HIV out, and maybe you got scared and stopped, and then you decided to watch this movie, and that's fine, because you're going to learn that it's okay and you can go ahead and take out the HIV, because you might encounter a little problem there, but or have encountered a little problem, but you know, it's nothing to worry about, really. Anyway, that's a good story too. And that's what this is. You know, this is about ending the HIV epidemic. That's what this movie is about. And you may not want to listen to the story or watch the movie. You may at this point have no interest whatsoever in ending the HIV epidemic. You're just trying to help yourself, and you don't feel like, you know, like maybe you tried that, you worked for that 5 years ago and you burned out and you just can't even think about it anymore or something. You know, go do the lessons. Don't watch the movie. It's great. You know, listen to the Cure shows on HIV. Do the kill virus lesson. By the way, do the like the one on cancer, because they don't know this, but there's a major relationship between HIV and cancer, and you're going to learn a lot about curing your HIV infection from listening to people cure cancer. That's actually how you learn how to cure things. A lot of the time you learn to cure things by listening to people cure other diseases, you know, and bingo, you know, you end up with, you know, really becoming able to cure yourself. So, and of course you've got to connect to all of us, and all of us who are curing things. You want to make that connection, because that's where the immunity is. See, we've got to get a message to someone who can stop the HIV epidemic. And so far, none of us have been powerful enough to do that. But that is what will, there will be a person, it will be a person who comes along, I'm convinced of that now, to end the epidemic. And we need to get the message to that person.